been thoroughly enjoying, crying my eyes out at, Arcane Season 2 as it's come out in the last couple of weeks. I've been so inspired by the stunning visuals of the show, and even though I usually play in survival on this channel, I want to build things now. And I've been learning Axiom in my late night Minecrafting. So today, I'm going to attempt to start building some things in the style of the Arcaneverse in Creative. Let's get to it. This is probably going to end up being a series of a couple of parts. So for what we're doing today, I've built up this base over in a corner of this creative world. Today we're going to focus on figuring out how to translate the styles of the main areas in Arcane to Minecraft. It's going to be tricky, mostly because of the richness of the colors in the show, since Minecraft tends to have slightly brighter colors. I feel like terracotta is going to be our best friend in this one. There are three main areas in the show that I want to work in: Piltover, Zaun, and the Arcane style. Think Victor's commune. Each of these areas has similar elements that tie them together. For example, the metallic designs integrated into the buildings and the complexity of the details of the buildings. But then from there, we get into some really distinct styles. So, with the Arcane, we have, the more oblong, rounded shapes and a bunch of colored glass. Now, generally, the colors in this show stay on the lighter pastel-y kind of sides, so glass is going to be super important in this. We might do better with orange. Yeah, it doesn't stand out as much, so we'll do that. But other than glass, in the commune, you don't get a ton of other color in the actual builds. You get kind of creamy colors, but not even to the lightness of quartz. We're talking like sandstone and birch mostly. And then, of course, the metallic colors, which let's talk about that for a second. The gilding in Piltover and just the general metallic colors of this world aren't going to translate into Minecraft really well. So I've been sitting here trying to decide if I'm going to use oak as the primary gilding or bamboo. And I think we're going to end up trying both. One of the things that's interesting about the whole commune area is that it's one of the places where we see the most of the natural world in the show. So integrating that is going to be really, really important to recreating this style. The thing that's going to be really tricky to duplicate here is that really rounded feel that everything in this area has. Yeah, it's going to be tricky, but I believe in us. We can do it. Next, we get to Zaun, which is a really interesting area because we have a lot of these metallic kinds of elements. They feel a lot darker than the gold and, neutral metallicness of either Piltover or the Arcane area. So I'm thinking this might be the place to use our nether bricks. They're not quite the right color, but I think with a little bit of love, we can make it work. So these are probably the base colors we're going to end up building with in this area. But the really cool thing about Zaun is that it almost feels a little bit cyberpunky. We've got a lot of neon, we've got a lot of color going on. We're definitely going to want some stained glass. Not as much as the Arcane area, but a little bit to help us make those colors. But then we see bits of this crimson kind of color throughout as well. This is the kind of place where a function like neon to dye end rods with would be amazing. The last area is Piltover, which has kind of just an overwhelming amount of gold. But then we also have jewel tones, but not quite jewel tones. They're a little bit light, so I think terracotta is going to be the number one super helpful block here. Then we can pull in some things like the warped wood, maybe some prismarine. There's a lot of this blue and gold color palette throughout, so that's going to be a really important one. And then we'll have a little bit of quartz as well, probably, because there's a lot of white in the area. It is time for quartz walls, Mojang. It's time. And then we get some really detailed areas that I think we might end up going to terracotta for. So now we need to think about style just a little bit, because each of these areas has a really unique style to it. The shapes that are being used are very different in each area. So let's look at that for a second. Piltover tends to have very geometric, and not just geometric, but sharp geometric shapes in it. Okay, the problem with Infinite Reach is that right there. Now, when we're talking about these kinds of shapes, it's important for me to mention that I want to make this survival friendly. That's an important aspect of this to me, since I'm not into creative really, and I would like the option to translate any builds that I make into the real world, for the most part. I say the real world into the survival world. All right, you'll want to see my absolute favorite function in Axiom, or at least in like the small build mode of Axiom. There we go. Yeah, this is the kind of style that we're going to see a lot in Piltover. Now, Zaun is a lot less organized. Ooh, look how close in color cyan, terracotta, and tuff look. That is an excellent block combo to know. So we're going to come in here and use the editor. So right now I'm just like sketching out a little bit of a shape based on the roof of the last drop. If we take a little bit of like white and light blue stained glass, we can then make a little central circle-y thing here. Paint this bit over. Another one of my favorite tools in here is the replace tool. All right, we still do need some sort of metal-y color for down in Zaun, and I don't think we're gonna find a great match, but let's try maybe some andesite. Ooh, yeah. Zaun has a lot of just wild randomness to it. It's not organic at all, but it is also not the neat geometric organizedness of Piltover. And then we come to the Arcane style, which is just what I'm calling it. I don't know like if there's an actual name for it yet architecturally. Let me know in the comments, because I don't hang around on Reddit a lot these days, and I feel like that's probably where most of the discourse about the show is. So I think let's start with just like trying to make a little bit of the arch kind of a feel. And I'm getting the feeling that this thing is maybe a little too small. Lesson learned for next time, I suppose. So let's build just like a piece of the weird circular thing around Victor's house. And actually, yeah, we can give it a little bit of a lean just for extraness. Enter. All right. And then we just take half of it away. So we have the first like bit of a circle here, and I'm going to go ahead and basically add a little bit of width to it, because it's not just like a 2D circle situation. One of the things that's going to be helpful for today is figuring out what scale we would need to do a larger build at, because this is pretty small. This is pretty large, and this could be either, you know? We could probably double this size and have that be pretty accurate to the scale of this last drop build. Maybe even more than that. Okay, it's a little rough, but I think it's a good start. And now we need to add the outer side. Let's step back and just make sure that's still looking okay. Yeah, all right. You know what I think? I think we need vertical slabs in the game. Yeah, I know. Changing the size, I think, helped with that quite a bit. I keep saying this privately, and I just need to put it out there, like, I don't particularly consider myself a builder, but I feel like the motto of the building community should be like, when in doubt, make it bigger. And this is the point where we bring in a little bit of fences just to smooth things out a little bit. As I'm sitting here looking at it, they're not quite as rounded, at least not in all of the spots. They're not quite as rounded as I originally thought, but they don't have to make like super circular shapes. This is the start as far as like this thing goes. We're gonna go ahead and just add some glass. The cool thing about this structure is that it's not like everything is filled with glass. There's a few spots here and there that are filled in. Ooh, yes, I love it so much. Now, if we wanted to add just a tiny bit of that painted look, there's only so much we can do, but we could probably layer a little bit of other colored blocks behind as well. I love it. I love it. I'm going to leave this there for now. Just, you know, as a style reference. Now I want to do some actual building. That wasn't the actual building part, guys. I don't have enough space on this mountain, not gonna lie. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna build a little bit of like a Piltover style something up here, a Zaun style something down in here, and then maybe put our Arcane style things kind of out back here. This is not like the big build of this series. This is just figuring out the styles and getting used to building in those styles. All right, so I think what I'm gonna do up here at the top of this is I'm going to, and this is all gonna end up being not very to scale with the actual pile of rocks here. But I think I'm gonna put like a build kind of on this area. And then put like some roads through, things like that. So let's make like the front entryway. All right, and then let's try and gradient this. That's not what I want. Did I do myself a huge disservice by putting it on an angle like this? Probably. But it's fine. It's fine. It's all gonna be fine. This is not yet giving me Piltover vibes. We might need to change some things. But let's keep working on like shapes and things like that and see where we end up before we fully despair. You know, it is actually remarkable how almost all of the screenshots of Piltover that I can find manage to not have entryways in them. It's actually a little bit impressive and a little concerning. Piltoverians, how are you getting inside your homes? All right, let's see if a little bit of quartz at the front of this house helps us out. Okay, that's looking better. Ooh, okay. Yeah, I like that. Let's even add a tiny bit of trapdoorage. No, that looks too rustic. Oh no. Oh, that's not good at all. I was gonna copy paste that over too. What happened here? I must have Control Z'd something. Well, we'll get into the top shape of this in a bit. But what I want to do now is add some more quartz to this thing. Also, I meant to say this earlier, but please forgive the slightly lazy grass patterning that I did here. This is literally my second piece of terrain in Axiom, and I was tired. Alright, this one, I think I want to actually be a glass dome. I think we need more of the gold trimming kind of stuff for that part of the roof to look okay. Ooh, that looks really cool. Now we just need to add a little bit more like fence detailing action. Ooh, yes, this is the stuff I've been waiting for. Maybe not there, though. Okay, think we're starting to get somewhere. It's not, like, amazing or anything, but this front bit is looking rather Piltoverian. Now I just need to make the rest of it look like that. I think now's a good time to have a little time lapse. All right. Well, it is actually quite Piltovery. I was getting a little bit worried there, but after adding the details are like a huge part of the show and the style of the show. So like of course it wasn't going to look Piltovery until it had details. I definitely could still do a little bit better with some of the shading, I think. But in general, I think this is a good like exercise for the style of Piltover. I like how we ended up with the dome and the glowing orb thing inside the dome. I'm not going to do any interiors for this anyways. I think what I'm planning to do is after having done this section, this part of the mini series, is I'm going to probably build an abbreviated Arcane verse. So I'll probably build like kind of a mini Piltover, a mini Zaun, and do Arcane building in there too. If that's interesting to you and you're enjoying this so far, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of those, and like the video because that always helps me out too. I'm trying to decide right now if I want to build custom terrain for that, or if I want to do something in like an amplified world. I just played in amplified for the first time because I've been going back to experience like old Minecraft, and doing a series with a video in each version. And in 1.7, I opened up an amplified world for myself for the first time, and I love it. And I really want to do something in like a creative world in amplified. This could be a cool way to do that. Yeah, so let me know what you think on that. But for now, let's get started on our Zaun area. Okay, there we go. We're going to turn on some gamma for this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by making an infinity pool colored glass thing here. That's awesome. We have to be careful to not overwhelm this area with light. Obviously, we need some light down there though. So what I'm kind of thinking is I'm thinking of doing a facade kind of here. And I want it to be something factory-ish, maybe old abandoned factory. Oh, also, one thing I didn't point out up here is that I did change the roof color. The dark oak, it doesn't work. It doesn't work because, like, all of Piltover has this, like, slate blue roofing, like, everywhere. It's not just down in Zaun. That's the really interesting thing is, like, Zaun is like Piltover in a lot of ways, architecturally, but more chaos, more broken down, and then with the cyberpunky type elements too. It's really interesting. The first thing that we definitely need is a bridge. Some ominous blue lights. Yeah. I want the facade to kind of be centered in here. So we need to flatten out a little bit of this. Yeah, I think that's a good position for it as well. Now let's clear a little bit of this way, but I do like the rocky overhang. I know that's not exactly in the spirit of Zaun. This palette feels familiar. Okay, yeah, let's use some stripped dark oak wood for pipes. Ooh, and we'll make this one run along the top of the cave here. Yes, all right then. Okay, now we need to do some work on the actual facade. I think I actually want to use some polished basalt. The things that we're going to add kind of onto the front of the facade here is we're going to add this kind of like corrugated piping kind of thing. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make a bunch of small roofs. Actually, that sits there perfectly. We're going to leave that. Hold up this way, push it that way. Very nice. Okay. Now let's get back to this doorway. All right, now we need like a sign or something to fill here, and then a couple of awnings over the windows, I think, would be stylistically appropriate. We're gonna say that this is some kind of like rune or writing or something like that. That's what we're gonna say. All right, let's look at that. Ooh. Okay. Yeah, I like that. I think I'm gonna put a tiny bit more like glass around. Yeah, I like that. I don't know what it is, but it's cool. And then we'll jump back here, grab ourselves a couple more awnings. We'll just do the little ones. And then we're gonna add some windows with a little bit of extra depth. I like depth, if you can't tell. There we go. Look at that with the gamma off. Ooh, yes. Ooh, yes. We can start adding similar types of detailing to what we have up on the Piltover buildings, only this stuff is all rusted over and icky and old. Okay, that's lovely. I like this. I think it captures a lot of the Zaun-ness, and I want to add a little thing right here. I'm going to put a little hole in the wall, like stand kind of thing in here as well. And unfortunately, we can't put these pressure plates directly. Yeah, we can do that. Put a few bits down as things that, you know, people are using, eating, whatever. And hang that up there. And we need to put a light in somewhere here. And of course, I'm going to link the Planet Minecraft page for this banner down in the description, as always. It is pretty simple, but I think we got the style down. Again, not going to detail it too much this time, but I will add a pot there because that just seems like a place where a pot would go, and I really need a pot there. Yeah, so I think as long as we stick with like these greenish toned blocks, for the most part, we should be in pretty good shape. Look at that! 2 out of 3 areas built. I really love this. I really, really love how these look. Also, am I wrong about the whole entrance thing? Like, we probably see people smash through a window to get inside a building at least as frequently as we see somebody walk through a door. Like, I don't think that's an exaggeration. Are the people of the Arcane verse okay? Do they need help? Do they need to learn how doors work? Like, I'm concerned. Now, I think this area, either right there and or wrapping around to this spot, is where I'm going to put a little bit of the Arcane commune type of architecture, and this might get updated depending on how those last 3 episodes go. So, yeah, we might have some extra cool fancy architecture, but so far it just seems to be like orbs and tents is what we've gotten. I'm still torn a little bit. I'm not sure if it's like too garishly bright to be using in this context. So I might stew on that a little bit longer and decide to use oak in the Arcane tent camp. Let me know what you think about that. Because it kind of feels like almost, you know, those cheap Infinity Gauntlet toy kinds of things to me, too. But it also kind of works, so I'm not sure. Let me know what you think. Like, I think up close, it does work really well, but then you get a little farther away and it's like, I'm not sure. Now, these are definitely the smallest things we build. Actually, even the normal sandstone has this, like, circular texture on it. That's perfect. I'm gonna go ahead and use oak in here for this, like, tent situation. It's interesting. It almost looks bug-like. Stairs are awesome. I've never said I hate stairs in my life. Never. Okay. We've got something. It's a little weird, but it's something. You can see it. A lot of them also have like colorful entrances if you look real closely. So like if we were to do this kind of thing, we get a little bit of that kind of thing. Ooh, I love that. That looks really cool. It's hard to do fine detail at a small scale like this, but we do get little bits of the circular shapes even just on the tent. But yeah, this is the kind of thing that we see in the commune a little bit more. Let's add just a couple more of them and see if we can smooth some of these thoughts out. Okay, I do feel like if we had these kinds of things in a pile, you know, in a big old pile, it would definitely start feeling like that. And we could even make circular shapes out of how the tents are laid out and like the extra bits of stickage. I don't even know, like, what are those shapes made out of? Actually, I don't think I want to know. I thought about it for like 2 seconds and I don't think I want to know. If we're feeling really cute, we can put things like lanterns on spots like that. Yes. Yep, that brought it together for me. Yeah, that definitely feels like we got the style. Now, I'm not entirely sure that the scale is the same. I feel like I scaled this down to the mountain size a lot more. But like the tents aren't big. That's the thing, as they are quite small like this. We could maybe make them a little bit bigger and get away with it. But they are very small. And I think that scale is about the same scale as Zaun, our Zaun area. I think it's pretty close. And then Piltover is kind of gigantic, but the thing is that the buildings are kind of gigantic and they do dwarf the people. So if you were to like look at a screenshot of people, you know, walking through a street in Piltover, you know, I feel like it would feel kind of like you're at this scale. Yeah, let me know what you think of the scale. I'm going to put the screenshots I just took on and maybe also put them up with screenshots from the show that also have like people and show scale. However, being on top of the mountain, like, the mountain is the wrong size for all of this. I will say that. I love what we've done here. This was a super fun, like, creative building exercise for me. So let me know what your thoughts are about the upcoming parts of this little mini series, and I will see you all over there. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Bye!